I would also like to note here that often people underestimate their home environment, cleaning up space there to have the space to create those things that you want to see for yourself in your real estate business.
Oh my gosh. And reorganizing and shifting your furniture.
And
right?
wardrobe. All of these things, people, but I bring it up because I don't know if any of you, any of our listeners have ever done this, but it's so true. It's like, podcast fam. I'm Toni Singh.
Good morning. I'm Jenny Woon.
Thank you for joining us this morning from wherever you are. We appreciate you spending time with us.
Thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Jenny, do you want to talk about what you've been up to in the last little while?
Well, Toni, you and I have been up to lots of things. This past week, we actually went over to Framework Retreats as another moderating session.
It was so nice to be surrounded by so many like-minded women.
It is.
Industry disrupting.
Yep. The ones that have been in the business for over 20 years. Agents who just are newly licensed. So much good energy in that space. We had such fantastic panelists on this time around. For those who weren't able to make it to the retreat, it's typically the way it's structured. It's a full day session, and you're seated in. You kind of we actually move around. So in the morning we did our breathwork session. And this time it was all about business, about elevating your business and how you would thrive in it.
And I love that it was an intimate setting with a smaller group of women. It was around 40 women, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, but it was that perfect setting to really have in-depth conversations, even one-on-ones during some of the breaks.
Right.
So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. What did you learn the most from the retreat?
Well, my new idol, Maggie Thornhill, she is the president and owner of Engel Volker's Sea to Sky in Whistler. And her personality and the way she carries herself, so sophisticated, so elite. You can see why she's the number one, she has a number one brokerage in Whistler.
Absolutely. And also, even just how personable she was you could see easily how she would make her clients feel at ease. So it was such a pleasure being able to interview her.
It was. But we can't also forget all the other ladies that were on there.
All amazing superstars for sure.
Yeah. A couple of them have been on our podcast already, and some of them will be coming on in the next few weeks. So we really look forward to you guys listening, to those who weren't able to make it.
Absolutely. And what is our topic for today?
We're going to, we are so close to the year end. We're going to talk about the top 3 things you must do before the year arrives. This
is one of my favorite topics.
Good. Because I think we even covered it last year, but it was a totally different circumstance with the market last year.
For sure.
So obviously I think there's going to be lots of people tuning in, like you guys are listening in right now, to learn more about what Toni and I are doing at the moment.
So based on this topic, what are the top 3 things that you must do before year end?
I must preface though, okay, first of all, it's the mindset.
Yes.
Okay, before we getting into the action plans here.
Okay.
You have to be optimistic about the opportunities and always be realistic about what you're actually facing in the market. There's, the number one question when most people ask you, what do they ask? It's a very generic question usually.
By clients? How's the market?
Exactly.
It's such a blanket statement.
Exactly. So depends on where you live, depends on what situation you're in.
Yes.
So more than anything is to just be realistic and be honest with what we're facing right now. Interest rates have been increasing at least 5 times this year and a couple more before the year ends. And I believe it's just for a very short period of time because, we are facing high inflation rates. And so how can we be proactive to keep our business going? So imagine how you would feel when you do the work and have a pipeline stuffed with great opportunities as you end this year and entering into next year. So let's get down to the real business of selling real estate and how you and I practice this.
Okay.
So first of all, navigating the conversation and dialogue with your clients to match with the right opportunities. And I think this was a little nugget that was given to us at the retreat.
Well, the nugget I think that you're speaking to was a certain commonality between all of the top producing realtors that were there. I think you and I also share this commonality, and it's focusing on the opportunities. There are always opportunities no matter what is happening in the external marketplace. It's just that you need to look for those opportunities and perhaps shift the way you're, one, either doing business, or two, frame that opportunity differently depending on who you're dealing with.
What do you mean by that?
So I find this really interesting. It's just an observation with some of our realtor colleagues that are out there. For example, this was also mentioned at the retreat that depending on mindset, which you offered at the beginning, the individual's mindset could be rearing more negatively. So for example, if you're an agent that's buying into the fact that, oh no, the market is not good. Maybe, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Real estate is going to collapse. I'm not going to be able to service my clients. Maybe we won't be able to get something sold. We're not going to be able to do the deals. First and foremost, that is mindset. And further to what you were speaking to, there are also opportunities depending on the mindset. So maybe it is true that if with the interest rate hikes, it might be more challenging to sell certain properties, certainly not all. Again, as you mentioned, it depends on the type, where it's located, and a variety of other factors. And it could be a great opportunity to contact all of your buyer clients. Would there not be some really great deals perhaps in this type of market? Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think that mindset component coupled by, finishing the quarter strong, like maybe you need to shift a little bit. And that doesn't mean for listing realtors, not listing property and having difficulty getting it sold. It might mean that the strategies for listing property would need to change. And obviously you'd have to adjust for price point if that property is affected by it, right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
So just being more strategic, though, more action creates attraction. So the more people you conversate with,
Love it,
you'll just get more leads. And maybe that lead will refer you another lead. So observe how many conversations are you having a day to accomplish this?
Yeah. And sometimes those conversations that you're having it can come out of nowhere with a friend, with a colleague who has a referral for somebody they can't service in your area. It doesn't always have to be with business in mind. I think that when people get out there and they overcome whatever obstacle it is for them, it always starts with the mindset though, then anything is possible. It's like, oh, how can I turn this into a positive result that would benefit those clients, possibly the other realtor and obviously myself, but the clients first.
So to wrap this first tip up, before the end of the year, commit to speaking to your entire database, into your entire sphere of influence. So you may say to yourself, I have a group I want to talk to, but I haven't spoken to them for a few years. And then you talk yourself out of it because you feel awkward or you feel like you're being pushy. But guess what? They actually don't know you're supposed to be calling them.
That's true.
Right? And so they're not thinking to call you because they're so busy and they're not keeping you accountable for not calling. So you might as well make up that time and ask them, pick up the phone and ask them, hey, it's Jenny. long time no talk. I'm so sorry that we've lost touch, but I just wanted to let you know this is what's happening in the market. I don't know if you're interested in learning more, but this is how it affects you and your neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's such a great approach.
And then ask them, what are your future plans for real estate? Or do you have any friends or family that are looking to buy and to get into this market?
Mm-hmm.
So ask for the referral as well.
Love it. Love it. Great advice. And it's a perfect time to reconnect with your people. So absolutely. Is this something that you typically implement in Q4 or any specific time in Q4?
Well, I definitely contact actually throughout the year, every time I'm passing by a neighborhood. And
you do Popeyes, right?
I do Popeyes, actually. My last one was on Mother's Day. But if I'm passing by like Olympic Village, for example, and I have more than a dozen clients who lives in that area, I'll just text them, hey guys, I was in this neighborhood, just reminded me, you know, as I was passing by your building or your house, I just thought of you guys. So, and they actually appreciate that type of text. So that's just little droplets throughout the year. But at the end of the year, for any transactions that I've done throughout the year, I definitely drop them off at a little gift as well.
I actually just want to add one last thing to this point before we move on to tip number 2. It's a good idea, as Jenny's mentioning. So if you're contacting all of your past clients and COI now and jumpstarting your business, which will ultimately jumpstart your business for 2023, the following year, it is a good idea to have a rhyme and reason in terms of a plan for when you would contact everyone. So integrating that into your lead follow-up schedule, or even, your yearly calendar, can be a great way in making sure that you are having predictable results.
Good point. So keep in mind, if you have this framework of, it's not a prospecting call, but it's more of a customer service outreach, I think you'll unfold and put down that wall that it's a fear-based type of approach. So just one little tip there.
Yeah, and we've said this before, but take a genuine interest. Treat your clients as actual humans. Take an interest in what's happening in their life from a genuine perspective. When you do that, these calls are not difficult at all. It's just genuine connection, checking in on people. You're welcome.
So number 2, maximizing the billable time in your day to sell more in less time. And by doing this, you have to perfect your schedule.
So what are some tips that people can use to perfect their schedule?
Well, our schedule can get sidetracked. Not every one day is the same. So you end up piling a lot of things that you didn't expect, like unexpected phone calls, clients are calling, there's issues that you got to deal with, there's keys you got to run around to do, and all of a sudden the day is gone. So you want to be able to designate activities in the morning, some really heavy hitter rainmaking activities at the beginning of the day from 8 to 12. That is all lead gens.
Love it. Love it so much. Definitely consistency for sure.
So by doing so, first of all, log your time to identify any time wasters and any distractions and work towards eliminating them. So how would you start doing that?
You mean an energy audit or an energy and action audit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could even do it a number of ways. What I have used in the past is taking a look at my general day and seeing where I thrive the most. So for example, I love the lead gen in the mornings because it makes sure to get it, completed and out of the way. Now, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't necessarily go in the evenings or on a weekend, but in order to maintain the consistency in terms of bringing in business, it's very important to have that scheduled. And then would you say that there's a certain percentage of energy that should be put towards some of these tasks?
Totally. So I would say 30 to 50%, well, typically like 8 to 12 o'clock, are income producing activities. So income producing meaning lead gens, prospecting, your open houses, your showings, listing appointments, negotiating contracts, follow-up calls are all income producing activities in the first half of the day usually, or the weekends as well. Then the other side of things is the income servicing, which after you log those, you're going to realize you can pass those tasks off to somebody else. Income serving would be meeting an appraiser, meeting an inspector, opening the door for a contractor, calling your seller for a price reduction, running around dropping off keys. Those are the things that are energy suck. You have to do it, but you can pass it down too.
For sure. And I think that even if we wanted to take it one step further in terms of maximizing your energy, time, and profits, one way to do that is actually to calculate based on income producing time, your income per hour. Have you ever done that? That's very interesting.
It sounds like, well, how do I calculate that? There is a way.
Yeah.
I actually have an Excel sheet that you can calculate that. But most people don't like to do math. So I taught a class on budgeting and how to evaluate what it costs per deal. And I think I lost a lot of the people, their attention during that webinar.
I mean,
because
it's
so complicated.
If you have the spreadsheet, all you do is plug it in. It's very easy for the output. But anyhow, just you know what? The high analytical people listening to this, you'd be into it.
Totally. Yeah. Hit me up if you want the Excel template. So also keep in mind that this business is a marathon and you are running off probably fumes by the end of the day, doing all this stuff yourself. So manage your energy, manage your sleep, manage very good eating habits as well. This is all things that I had to learn through burning out.
I'm still learning them sometimes, you know?
You are. So remove all that negative energy that drains your day. Avoid social comparisons. It's so easy to just keep scrolling and compare yourself to other agents. And then the time goes by really fast.
I mean, I think, and so, okay, we've noted that. I think a tangible takeaway in terms of actually implementing it. I mean, for me, I'm not really on social media, so I don't have that problem. However, it could even be, putting your phone away from you during your meals. That way you're not tempted to have a look at social feeds.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And don't get sucked into people's dramas and negativity. They they shouldn't have a place in your life.
I just had this happen the other day with a client who wanted to bring me right into it. With their personal stuff. So it was outside of me. And I mean, there's a way to be respectful of somebody's scenario and also not get caught up in their energy of drama and gossip. It's unnecessary.
Can you share how that dialogue went in terms of exiting without, but also sharing that, how you cared for her too?
So what it was about was my client is getting married. And obviously it can be challenging planning a wedding and there might be a level of stress involved. So she was focusing on all of the drama behind the scenes with the family about the wedding. It was obviously a scenario where she needed to vent, and I wanted to be respectful of allowing that space for her and shifting the conversation to something that was going to be proactive and relevant to why we were meeting. So a good way to do it is, sometimes people just need to get things off of their chest. And then my response was, that must be really frustrating. I'm sorry that you're going through that right now. And then we just shifted the conversation to what we were talking about at the time. But I think that when people genuinely, if you're agreeing with the fact that it's a stressful time in this scenario, it certainly causes her to have less anxiety. And then it's kind of an outlet, and then we can refocus the conversation to what we were talking about at the time, which was purchasing a home.
Right. And I'm glad you said outlet because most people just want to vent. they're not looking for you to be involved in that drama, or they're not looking for advice.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that I've learned from my business coaches to ask and get curious, are you just looking for advice, or you just need to vent? And most often they're actually just wanting to vent, and then you move on.
That's right.
Right?
But just don't get caught up in it, right? If I would have said, oh, and became a part of the problem, we would have never moved on.
Which is very, very much like, oh, what happened?
Yeah,
like that's a very easy, like trying to fix or trying to help them.
I already know what happened. You're unhappy with the results currently, and let's refocus.
So she didn't get married. So get intimate with your overhead. We talked about the monthly expenses. Create your budget for the following year. Know who you can hire if you can't financially afford it. There's so many ways to try to get like free graphic designers who are looking to build a portfolio. But there's so many different vendors out there with wide range of pricings that you can incorporate into the business for these type of things that you don't really need to be doing that aren't producing income for you. Just developing really great habits on sticking to your schedule.
How does someone develop those habits though?
Lock yourself into a room with no distractions.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Right. So I'm finding at my brokerage, I don't know if you have, I've never been inside your brokerage. I need to visit you.
We're renovating right now.
Okay.
So you can come over when it's finished.
Okay. Our space, we have tons of space for our agents to engage with other agents, or even just their own space to do their work. I'm finding that the ones that are coming in on a routinely basis, on a regular basis, they are away from home, they're away from the TVs, away from their kids,
fewer distractions.
They can actually do tasks that are predictable, that they know will set themselves up into a good groove, into a good weekend ahead.
So you're discussing right now the second part of tip 2, which is perfecting your schedule.
Correct.
Part of that is the environment, which you mentioned. So important to have a great workspace where you're going to thrive. The other component to that is your own boundaries and energy, which I have learned very difficultly over the years. My team knows now when I am not available.
So is that through a shared calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I just want to mention that because you can do it a number of ways. One is at least in the communication, right? Saying, oh, Toni is unavailable from, let's say, 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. Do not bother her during these times unless there's a house burning down.
Right.
And we utilize Google Calendars, actually, where we have 2 team calendars, one for listings, one for showings, because I want to know where people in the team are. And I also want them to see when. It's just easy. You need to be efficient, right? My team can also see my personal calendar because I have a variety of calendars. So they know when I'm not available for an appointment or a meeting with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I need to set that up. Does this say unavailable on their end? Or
you can set it up 2 different ways. One, you can set it up so that they can see exactly where you are. And then the other way to set it up is just in the settings. I can show you how. It'll just say busy.
Okay. Okay. Third and final thing you need to do before the year end is invite and leave space for a steady stream of leads and opportunities. And this is very broad, but there's just so much that you need to do in this.
Say more about this. I like that. Leaving space, steady stream of income. So,
this is unsexy, but cleaning up your CRM and re-rating all your leads. Because what he said earlier, you got to make those phone calls and tap into every lead. So this is the time to clean it up and re-rate your leads.
I'm in the process of doing that right now. You're right. I don't find it particularly sexy, and it's a constant item that needs to be completed.
And obviously you don't see anyone posting about it on social media that they're cleaning up their CRM. They're just raking in the deals, right? But how they got there is because they do have a CRM. Re-rating your leads. So this is really important, how you would identify and categorize your leads, whether it's A, B, C, D, E, whether it's hot, warm, cold, nurture. So every CRM, again, has either a way to customize it, or maybe they already have pre-selected categories. So that's something that you may want to familiarize yourself with. Next.
Another great one is researching activities or groups in order to expand your network that you would like to be involved with.
That's something that we learned at the retreat. Maggie Thornhill was saying her first client was from Hollyburn.
Yes, yes. And I did learn in that conversation that that is also something that I would like to be doing, which is, we talked about it before, your COI. Well, it's great because you're utilizing your COI. And also there's a whole bunch of people that don't know you yet and who you don't know. And there are opportunities that exist there. So getting outside of that box.
Another option or opportunity I would really love you guys to explore is working with a coach or a mentor. And coach and mentor are two different things, but Toni and I, we work with the same coach actually, and you have to find the right coach that fits you. But I would say 20% of top producers are doing 80% of the work. And given in this market, I'm pretty sure that 20% has gotten smaller and they're doing probably more of 90% of the work. So work with a coach that will keep you accountable.
When you say 80 to 90% of the work, you mean production, right?
Yes,
okay,
the volume.
Yeah, that is true. And can you, for our listeners, they might have questions about what the difference is between a coach versus a mentor.
Sure. Coach is, to me, is someone who is coactively guiding you and providing, I guess, like
actionable
strategies. And they're in a way just a little bit of like a person who kind of nudges, a person who kind of keeps you in the right, like steers you in the right direction to meet your goals.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're in something, in a scenario, you can't really see it from a bird's eye view, right? You might need somebody to offer their observations.
And I'm sure if next time we bring on a coach, we should probably ask them to identify the actual definition of a coach. That's my version.
No, it's a good distinction. They are different.
Yeah. And a mentor, I guess what would you describe a mentor? Is someone who you would look up to, and then they also are helping you succeed.
I mean, both of them do. Both of them do. But I would say that I don't know if this is correct, but in my opinion, a mentor isn't necessarily offering you actionable strategies on a day-to-day basis, almost. And it doesn't have to be day-to-day. Do you know what I mean? But
they're in a way, I guess, there to influence or help be an advisor.
I think that a coach would be more boots on the ground, if that makes sense. And the mentor also would be aware of things that you're encountering.
Right.
But perhaps less day-to-day boots on the ground, maybe.
Like acting as like a role model.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
That's probably a good way to sum it up. And then another thing that we recommend is improving on your environment and your space. So cleaning up your office, cleaning up the paperwork that doesn't need to be on your desk.
100%. And I would also like to note here that often people underestimate their home environment. Cleaning up space there to have the space to create those things that you want to see for yourself in your real estate business.
Oh my gosh. And reorganizing and shifting your furniture.
And wardrobe. All of these things, people, but I bring it up because I don't know if any of you, any of our listeners have ever done this, but it's so true. It's like in your home environment, like how are people successful? Well, you have a life too, right? Most people will have a certain aspect of their life that they want to participate in other than work. Sometimes not if you're a workaholic. I mean, ultimately you're sleeping in the same place pretty much most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So you might need to change the environment there a little bit too, to have those results that you want to see in your business. Like what happens if, I don't know if this happens to you, but I have young children, the cereal cabinet, it gets very messy. When it's messy, I actually get anxiety.
What, like boxes are like
in behind, you can't see
boxes,
them, but I know that it's in the drawer.
The boxes of cereal are in the drawers.
And it's just messy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like they do it themselves.
Oh, because it's like not closed, like the bag's not closed.
Yes.
And the lid is still open.
It's just all over the place. Okay. And it's a weird, funny thing, but I'm going to make this comment because if any of you parents are listening, perhaps also you're not realizing that it causes you anxiety too if you like organization.
Right.
I notice that it affects my morning.
I'm sure it does. Sure it does. So are you one of those moms who like the ingredients facing out? Like, do they all have to face one way?
No, I mean, for my closet, yes. But for
Hangers.
the kids, so this
Okay.
is the thing. With the kids, I'm trying to get them to be more independent. Okay. Stevie's 2 now. So she gets up in the morning. She says, Mommy, cereal, cereal. I said, okay, go get it yourself. Let's put the bowls lower so that you can do it. Well, can you imagine a 2-year-old pouring the cereal out in a bowl? You've got it all over the place. And so like stuff like that, right? If you're rushing out the door, it might not get cleaned properly right away, but that's what happens.
Okay. Well, Chai's a pretty clean eater, so I don't have to worry too much about her.
Chai's older though.
But you recently had Marlena.
I did. One of our, awesome guests that we had brought on, Marlena Los.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it properly. I think it's Los. Feng Shui expert.
Yeah. So she was at your house or at your commercial brokerage?
I brought her to both.
Okay.
And we started in my home because obviously I go to bed there every night. I wake up. That's where a lot of my energy is, even though I'm spending most of my awake hours at the office or outside of that, right? But it was really insightful having her walk through because I've noticed I have made some changes. We're not completely done yet because we're opening up floors actually in the house. But some of the suggestions that she made, for example, we're moving a mirror right now in the kitchen and we're going to put up, instead of the mirror, a painting because the mirror is actually showcasing the kitchen space and it looks like more work. Does that make sense? It's a weird thing. And I said to her, how come it always feels as though the dishes are endless? It's super frustrating and irritating. I said, does it have anything to do with the mirror? Because I had read a Feng Shui book and they did mention something. She said, well, yes, because it's magnifying whatever you have there. Even if it's like a glass, you can see the reflection, right?
I can see that. Yeah.
Small little tweaks.
Wow. Interesting. Well, if you're not using monthly subscriptions, memberships, get rid of all those tools. Like if you're not watching Disney Plus, get rid of it.
We got rid of ours.
Empty your inbox on your emails. If you're getting emails from Blockbuster, guys.
And you're not reading them, just unsubscribe.
Also, update your headshot and your bios, especially on Facebook, on Instagram, on your LinkedIn. The most utilized tool, in my opinion, is LinkedIn.
Really? I'm hardly on there.
Exactly. That's why I'm on there, because you're not on there. But it is totally, I mean, this is statistically somewhere that the level of income, if you're advertising and doing sponsored ads on LinkedIn, the level of income is actually higher than Instagram and Facebook.
I guess it makes sense though, because would you say it makes sense because of the demographics that are on there and the purpose of that platform?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So that's, what else is there? Oh, expired listings.
So fun. I mean,
they're all coming up at the year end.
Yeah. And I want to give a tip on that. Don't wait until the year end. Run the data ahead of time so that you can get a leg up on your competition. There's actually a lot that exist right now.
Okay. So let's just say they're expiring December 31st though. So you would have to wait till the new year to contact them once it expires.
No.
Okay.
You'd probably run a list the week before, or, if you're on winter holidays, you're going to have time probably, right? If you're taking a bit of vacation, you can run the data beforehand so that you know when they're going to expire. And then you would actually, I used to, I have door knocked them before. I won't anymore because I don't have that time. I want to spend it with my family. But you can go in advance because sometimes the listings don't expire on the 31st. It might be like the 27th.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the 3 tips that we have. Number 1, you got to attract more by making more calls. Number 2, maximizing your billable time. by getting more organized, by knowing what are the income producing tasks. And number 3, making more room to invite more leads and more clients that are going to be active and feeding your pipeline.
Absolutely. Making more space for new opportunities.
There you go. So have a great, great fourth quarter.
Are we going to do, as we did last year, a new dream board session?
Yes.
Towards the end of the year?
Yeah, I was actually going to talk to you about that. We'll be doing one.
Okay, that's going to be so fun.
Yeah, let's do it in November.
Yeah, because we have a filming date then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, for listening. We appreciate your time and always enjoy reading your comments in our inbox on the DMs, and West Coast Real Estate Agents at gmail.com, I believe, is our email address. And tune in and subscribe to Spotify, to Apple Podcasts, to YouTube. And don't forget to share it with your colleagues who can use this information as well. Thanks, guys.
Have a great day.